So it's October, which is my favorite time of year. So I am going to be telling only stories of the macabre, the morbid, the scary, and the terrible. Welcome to 100 Wonders, the October edition. In 1959, a group of 9 Soviet students set out on a winter camping expedition. They were headed into the Ural Mountains to an area known as Kholat Syakhl, in the local language, Dead Mountain. The group of 9 young students was experienced hikers, and they were led by a young man named Igor Dyatlov. He was confident, experienced, he could handle harsh weather. When they failed to show up 10 days after their expected rendezvous, Soviet government feared the worst and sent in a helicopter looking for them, and it found some of them dead, scattered away from their tent. The strangest thing was their tent had been cut open from the inside out. This is what would become known as the Dyatlov incident. When they found these first 5 students, they were in various states of disarray. Some were missing shirts, other people were stripped almost entirely naked. 2 of them had gone off and apparently started a campfire, but there were unburnt branches next to them and their hands had been burnt in the process. There were no other tracks to be found, no people, no animals. 3 months later, they were able to find the remaining victims. One of them was missing her tongue. Another had his chest crushed. 2 of them had skull fractures, and their bodies were said to be a strange orange color, and their hair had gone gray. The Soviet government opened a case and closed it just as quickly, saying they had all been killed by a compelling natural force. The files were kept secret for years, making it a subject of much whispering and conspiracy. When they were finally released, some very strange things were contained in the files. 1, the bodies were said to be slightly radioactive. It was also found that locals saw some strange bright lights in the sky that evening. Along with the theories about aliens and yetis are some more sober-minded thoughts. Maybe they were killed by local hunters. But there was no evidence of this kind of struggle and no footprints of anyone except the 9 hikers. One of the theories that emerged around the question of radioactivity was perhaps they'd been accidentally dosed in some sort of secret government test. Maybe this is why the government had closed and kept secret the files for so long. There is a new scientifically grounded idea that may provide the explanation, but it is almost as outlandish as aliens or Bigfoot. If you've ever gone into a building and gotten the sense that something is deeply wrong, some scientists believe that there is a connection between these haunted sites and something called infrasound, sound that exists just below the level of our hearing. At this level, it starts to play strange tricks on the human mind. In an experiment with hundreds of people, 22% of them, when exposed to infrasound, had experiences of extreme fear, terror, sorrow. General nausea and anxiousness overwhelmed them. And infrasound can be produced both artificially and in nature. On that night, high winds may have created an infrasound echo chamber. And it may have been that Igor Dyatlov was convinced that what he was hearing was an avalanche coming towards him. They all went scattering into the night in sub-zero temperatures. Some of them, it seems, maybe fell down a mountainside. The 4 that were found later and said to be orange and gray-haired had undergone a certain amount of natural mummification. They had just been exposed to the elements for too long. The missing tongue, that's a raven or another forest creature getting a snack. The crushed chest may have just been the pressure of snowpack slowly compressing this body over months and months. So, well, we may never know the real answer to this mystery. The best theory out there is that the Ural Mountains themselves, the harsh environment is what killed them, but it was the wind itself that drove them to madness. Watch more videos here and subscribe here. So while this is the best explanation out there, it doesn't answer every question. The bright lights seen that night could be a number of things. The area was in line with the Baikonur Cosmodrome, so it might have just been normal Soviet launches. And the radioactivity has always been a very puzzling piece of this. The explanation is that their candles contained thorium, and that would have given them all a little bit of a radioactive tinge. One of the group, when he fled the tent, fled without his clothes, but took his camera. And on the roll is one final blurry photograph. What he was trying to take a picture of will remain a mystery.